Hello and welcome to another episode of 20,000 Leagues Under the Internet. I am your captain this week, Harlan Spinks. Joined with me, as always, are John Carr and Kyle Luck. Go ahead and fight to the death over who gets to say hi first.
Kyle, do you want to just do this amicably?
You want to come to an accordance of some kind?
Should we just... Let's be friends.
There's so much hate.
Please.
There's so much hate
Honestly,
in the world. Let's just...
You go ahead.
You know what? You go first.
You go first.
Kyle,
I insist you go first.
Jonathan, Michael Carr, I insist that you go first.
This is almost
Shut
worse
up,
than
Harlan.
if you actually
Shut up,
fought
Harlan.
to the death. Oh,
Shut up.
Sorry.
You started this, and we're going to end it peacefully. So, John, you fucking go first.
Kyle, please.
Uh-oh.
No, John, fuck you, go first.
Hey, everybody.
Cut to 10 minutes later.
Hi, my name is Kyle Luck, and I will be aboard this ship at some point tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. We love you all and would appreciate if you would go follow us on all of our social media accounts. That includes TikTok, Instagram, I don't know. I almost said PayPal. That's not
PayPal.
right.
Social media, PayPal.
And you can see some clips and things from us. So go do that. Appreciate it. John, I think you have a catch of the week.
I do. This hit newsstands this afternoon for me.
Oh, shit.
A Vice article that says an AI-generated artwork won first prize at a state fair, and people are pissed.
Oh, cool.
Oh, saw this coming.
Which people? That's what I want to know.
Artists. I sent you the image so you can have a look at it. Jason Allen's AI-generated work, Théâtre d'Opéra Spatiale, took first place in the digital category at the Colorado State Fair. And people took to Twitter and exploded, as Twitter is one to do.
$750.
Yeah. And
I don't know if it's worth $750 if I'm being totally honest.
it is. So, describe it for the people.
Oh boy. It's in some sort of hyper ornate church.
Ornate is beautifully well said.
Thank you.
I love that. Yeah.
That's uber ornate, even. It's like the interior of like a church, sort of, but there's a big giant. Is that an orb or a window looking outside?
I believe it's a portal looking outside.
Okay, a portal, like a Doctor Strange type portal. And you've got a couple of what look like female figures in long robes and dresses. I don't know what style this is. Baroque. Thank you, John. Yeah, it's a cool, there's something about it not being centered that's bothering me a little bit.
I'm also Baroque, if you know what I'm saying.
Heyo.
We all are.
Enter sound effect button there for the morning zoo.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, wait, Howard, do you still have those loaded up or what?
I'm not even going to fucking try.
Like a good
hit a
fart
random
sound
one.
would have been great there.
It's not even on the right screen.
Disgusting!
Oh, I don't even think it came out of the right speaker. That was weird.
I heard it, but
I don't know where it's going.
Sound direct.
Where is it going?
So
where is it going? I never know where it's going.
This guy entered this. He printed this out onto a canvas, like digitally printed it onto a canvas and mounted it, and entered the competition, won first prize. People on Twitter were saying, we're witnessing the death of artistry unfold right before our eyes.
Oh my God, chill out.
Talking about how if creative jobs aren't safe from machines, then even high-skilled jobs are in danger of becoming obsolete. What will we have then? Which
communism, that's what we'll have.
They interviewed the guy that did it, and he was like, I think that they're not realizing the actual human element that goes into this, because like as good as some of these AI images are, which we are all very familiar with, they're not perfect. And so what he does is he talks about how he went through hundreds of prompts, because it does take a lot to get something that is like workable and good and like what you're imagining in your mind.
Right.
And then from there takes it into Photoshop and does a few passes on it there, and then upscales it with gigapixel. So
okay. So he altered it out. He did like post-production work on it as well.
Yeah, he didn't just enter in a prompt and then printed out the first thing that came up. Like, I think there was much more thought into it, which I think like what we discussed in our episode about, AI generated imagery and art is like, it is a tool. It is just another tool that people are going to be able to use.
Right.
So, and apparently, through Midjourney's terms of service, essentially like anything that you create, you own, but they also own it too. So
because you're using a
50-50.
service.
They can't stop you from making money, but they also can.
Right.
So I'm going into business with Midjourney every time I have a business partner. I can say that.
Yes.
Like at a bar when I meet somebody, I'd be like,
Yeah,
hey.
I have to talk. I have to check with my business partner.
Mr. Midjourney.
Oh yeah, my boy MJ is my business partner.
MJ, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Just vague enough, just real enough.
Yeah.
Well, I saw somebody
just like Midjourney.
I think we were talking about this, or I sent something where like somebody shared or was talking about a New York Times article that used an AI generated art piece, and someone was like, well, there go all the illustrator jobs.
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe, but not. People are still going to want something specific and something unique that a human being made. I was talking to you about this, John.
Yeah.
And how I feel like there will come a time when the demand for human content, human created art is going to be more valuable and more sought after because people have access to things like Midjourney and they can just make whatever the fuck they want. Also, if you go into the Midjourney Discord server, the shit people are trying to get made is not high art.
Exactly.
It's
like
a lot of
Star Wars.
I want to see realistic Family Guy, like real Family Guy,
or anything in the style of Goya.
Yeah, or just hyper realistic, ultra feminine woman figure bust. It's like, okay, you perverts.
Yeah, I went on there late last night and I did not like what I was seeing. People get lonely at night and sometimes they just need a little AI help.
Midjourney after hours.
After dark.
I didn't like what I saw and I was like, you know what? Right now I'm going to close this. I'm not going to watch what
paying
people
for
are
that
making.
service is alone worth getting out of that cesspool of just that
be able to have the bot isolated to yourself
of craziness.
Yeah. All right. You guys want to jump into the topic this evening?
Boy,
sure.
do I.
All right, let's fucking go.
Is that your new thing instead of the bubbles?
Ah, shit, I guess I just spilled it everywhere. We're going to talk about kind of a broad subject that I've been seeing people talk about a lot lately. Cool. I've like probably every day for the last week, this phrase has come up in some feed of mine, and I want to kind of dive into the specifics of it. So this week, we are going to talk about chronically online people. So let's dive in.
You a cop?
Okay.
You got to tell me if you're a cop.
You COP? You a cop?
So,
you chronically online person? You gotta tell me if you're chronically online, bro. Come on, dude.
It took me a second to get there, but I got there.
Me too.
I had to throw it a bone a little bit there. I saw that. I could see it in your eyes.
Spell the acronym for us.
Come on, guys.
So, I first saw a video last week. This YouTuber, Curtis Connor, did a video entitled Chronically Online, and it's a great video. I recommend everybody go watch it. But then it was like day after day, somebody else was saying chronically online. So I was like, okay, what's going on here? So, it's also known as extremely online. There have been a couple of articles, where people have talked. Well, people are trying to call it extremely online because chronically makes it sound like it's something you can't stop doing. Whereas, like, if you have,
that's fine, but it ruins the joke about the cops thing.
EOP doesn't have the same.
Are you
there
a
was
yop?
a lot there.
Are you an EOP?
Yeah.
You have to tell me if you're a EOP.
Yeah, but one of the reasons why,
Doesn't
which
work.
is something that Curtis Connor brings up in his video, is that, when we use the word chronically, it's often in regards to people with disabilities or diseases that they can't just stop. So it's kind of like, maybe we should not refer to being online like this in that way. But so, you know, because we all spend at this point in time, a vast majority of our existence online, either working from home or even things like having to pay your bills, everything is online. So, but that's exacerbated. It was exacerbated during the pandemic when like everything was in full shutdown. And the phrase started floating around, like more popular around 2021, like the end of, quote unquote, the end of the pandemic.
Right. Yeah.
Which you know, spurred a lot of rants and discussions. So the definition of chronically online says those who spend so much time online that it skews their sense of reality and hinders their ability to effectively communicate about topics like politics or social justice, but a lot of other stuff which we'll talk about, because they lack real world experience. Someone who is chronically online tends to call out quote unquote problematic behavior others might not see as an issue, or they may call out behavior in a nonsensical way. Now,
this can go so many directions too. Like, I feel like I know people like this.
Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily manifest in the way you describe. It can be if you're online and you're experiencing like a sense of dread or everything's wrong.
Yeah.
It feels like it's feeding into this regardless.
Well, and I feel like that's like doom scrolling. Like that's a symptom of being chronically online. And again, I'm only going to point out a couple of examples, sort of the more like, well, one that's funny and one that talks about QAnon and shit like that.
Totally, we gotta get both sides of the coin.
Yeah, silly and then Nazis.
And then fucking terrible.
That is so often the theme of every one of these episodes.
I know. Is that our thing?
Kind of, I guess.
Let's just cry laughing and dying about
John,
the ridiculous shit.
I wish that it couldn't be. It wouldn't be that, but unfortunately, so much of the internet comes all the way back around to Nazi. At some point, it's like Rule 34.
No one really wants to hear us talk about geocaching. You know, They want to hear about the app. Shit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, even us doing this podcast is, in a way, us being chronically online and seeing other people do it and go, "That looks like fun. We can do that."
Yep.
So,
bro, I'm a virus. Let's go.
But again, yes, Kyle, this can branch out into many segments of anybody's life. I want to read another definition here. Urban Dictionary says someone who is basically always on the internet and their entire existence revolves around being on the internet. People who are chronically online typically have no real friends IRL and stay online, starting useless debates that literally achieve nothing outside of a screen. Ouch.
Didn't we do a whole thing about bodybuilding forums that I feel like falls in this category?
yeah. Well, this is going to be our look back episode, our in memoriam.
How many times can you work out in a week, huh, guys?
We know the answer.
Throw out a number.
And
don't
throw
try
out
to
a number.
work out
I
every other
fucking
day.
dare you.
You will add extra days of your life if you try to work out every day.
Okay, so what are some of these examples? So, a lot of these end up on TikTok, obviously. Some people have been sharing their instances in which someone draws parallels between two situations that are actually quite different. The implication is that those with more experience in the real physical world would immediately understand the distinction. I have an example. This is the first example. Well, this is the only video I'm going to show you guys.
Oh my god, my boss was being so stupid at work today. It's actually pretty ableist to call people stupid.
Hey, you should read this book. It's really good.
It actually makes me uncomfortable that you would suggest this because my mom died. Look what I got on Amazon. You shop on Amazon? What is wrong with you? I would never. I guess people don't feel bad purchasing and using single-use plastic. Do you want to watch this sitcom from the 90s? Are you kidding? That show is so problematic. That's a really ugly house. That's extremely classist. Some people don't have houses and would love to live there.
The vibes are, I've got it.
Yeah.
I've got it now. I struggle with this on a day-to-day basis.
There was another TikTok video that was going around where somebody was sharing their experience in which someone compared her stance against dog breeding to being against interracial human relationships. So the pendulum swings.
Wow, that is deep.
Quite far in these, what are essentially hot takes, but to any normal, rational person is just like, oh, that's insane. Or that's a normal emotion that humans have. The video calls out somebody else, quote, why is it so normalizing to stop drinking when pregnant? Isn't not wanting your baby to have disabilities kind of ableist?
What?
Oh no, it went too far.
Oh my god.
To me, it's just the
That's the same kind of people that are like the anti-vaxxers that are like, oh, well, if God wanted us to get sick, then we would have done that.
Yo, Debbie, look at me. Eyes. Do you wear glasses?
That's kind of
do you wear shoes?
kind of ableist.
Yeah, the shoes is my favorite argument for that.
Doug, do you wear shoes? It's the pursuit of this perfect political correctness that will be your undoing.
Yes, and it takes it too far. And
Yes,
in the past, people were mocked, like, the social justice warriors turned into, I mean, I don't know if that term was ever like not a
I think
facetious,
it was always derogatory. SJWs, yeah.
but it's that, but it's morphed into a broader spectrum, and it's just chronically online. Like the SJW label has just turned into chronically online.
It's like you're so woke you never sleep.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry.
Comas, what are those?
I actually think woke has turned into like a weaponized term from the right.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
it no
wanted to use
longer-
that. I wanted to use that term simply to make that joke, but I don't want to use it as like a dog whistling thing by any means.
No, I think we're in a safe space.
Okay. But I also just want to say it out loud.
Sometimes gotta just.
But yeah,
It's best
out
just
there.
to give the disclaimer.
Yeah, so others mock people for being online so often they seemingly haven't experienced basic human emotions through real life interactions.
Oh shit! Shots
And
fired.
This is where Twitter is just a minefield of these types of people.
Yeah.
And so I have a couple that I'm going to read to you. Let's see. So somebody tweeted, being grossed out by another person's energy and mentality is such a real thing. Somebody replied to it and said, that's called disliking someone.
Yeah.
They then retweeted or like kept posting to their own thread. This is the same person that originally replied to it, and this is in quotes. Normalize not vibing to someone's toxic behavioral gaslighting so you can manifest mental energy. What?
Oh my god.
And then he finally said, who are you people? There's another tweet here in the
This
same
is where
vein.
the phrase "touch grass" comes into play, right?
Yes, and that's another thing that I've been seeing, maybe all of us have been seeing people saying and using in the recent months, is go touch grass. What? Literally, who are you people? Go outside.
Go out.
Yeah.
Go connect with
Go
real
touch
life.
grass.
Yeah,
Like the most interesting part about this is like we have the real world privacy and mental health issues that come along with like social media destroying young kids' minds. And I think this is the ultimate result in some ways of what that looks like. Is people being on their phones so much they literally don't know what empathy is.
Yeah.
Or think so. But going into this next tweet, somebody says, making IRL mutuals at college, y'all, this shit is crazy. Somebody
Making
replied,
friends. Is that what that means?
yeah. So the person replied and said, you mean friends?
Oh, okay.
It's literally,
So I would be this person on Twitter, like furiously typing, "What do you mean? You mean
Yeah.
friends?"
yes, the fact that they're not using the word friends, but they are using internet slang, mutuals, is the craziest thing to me.
Yeah, but it's also I mean, like, think of what a younger generation is learning first, like
yeah, of course, and that's what a lot of
technology. And also, they didn't have the television show Friends. Am I right, guys?
Oh, right. They just thought that was
friends.
an acronym.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyways,
that
show's pretty problematic.
It is pretty problematic, to be honest. TBH.
Whatever. I just rewatched it. It's still great. I don't care about those select few lines and instances.
Well, and-
Ross is terrible. Let's just.
No. To your point, though, Kyle, is that what
I was just making a joke.
What you're saying, though, is essentially like a lot of these people, especially younger people, younger millennials and Gen Z, is they completely lack the nuance and subtlety that comes along with watching older media and not putting it in the context of when it was made. And that applies to so much of the stuff that they learn about that maybe is kind of antiquated to them, is just like not putting it in context.
I will say this. It's Supernatural, the television show. Within the first, within the Supernatural.
Kyle, can you remind me what that is? Actually,
Can you show me the mug?
It's an
Is it
incredible
problematic,
television show. Yes, it is. Harlan, I'm glad you asked.
Because it's 10 years old and has had how many seasons?
Within the first 5 episodes, at some point, Jensen Ackles' character Dean Winchester, one of the 2 Winchester brothers, they're heroes, people. I love
the hand.
He uses the term "gay" derogatory, like "What are you, some kind of gay?"
Yeah.
He says something like that, and I was like, "Whoa!" That almost turned me off from the show entirely as I was watching through it. But I was so hooked on the other shit that I kept watching. I'm glad I did, because what I got to watch was this show learn by the end of it, it had like so much inclusivity, so much like trans gay rights, like everything like being all over it, like
right.
The show, if you can't just write things off right away.
Well,
you have to just like write it out a little bit sometimes.
Well, the other thing too that I think is a lot of what we're talking about is and we've been discussing this in our group chat, is the initial reactions to like the new season of Game of Thrones. Like one episode came out and half of the internet was like, why, if you're gonna write a fantasy where dragons exist, would you also include murder and sexual assault? And like, it's like, okay, like pump the brakes. What are they using that narrative to tell? Is it a critique on those things? Is it saying those things are bad? Or is it glorifying them? Like, that wasn't a conversation that I saw. Maybe some people were, but it's that same thing of like, putting it in, or even like what your example of the Supernatural, is that something derogatory that the character would say because he's a piece of shit, or was it a thing of the times? Like, you can't just say that like, oh, well, this actor said this horrible thing in character. Like, that would be like, okay, Leonardo DiCaprio is canceled. Aside from him not dating 25-year-olds.
Anything over 25.
But like, even just in the context of him using the N-word so excessively in Django, it's like, why is no one upset about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's playing an evil piece of shit. So
yeah,
another one of these tweets.
There's layers. There
are layers.
There's layers.
So another one of these tweets says, and every time I pause, that means that there are 5 to 7 question marks. Do you ever get secondhand happiness? Like, someone is happy, so you're happy because they're happy? And someone replied, Twitter user discovers empathy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's empathy, right? That's what they're learning?
Yes. But like, they're just like...
Oh my God.
Well,
this
I feel like a lot of it is like somebody experiencing an emotion or like experiencing anything and needing to document it somehow. And have someone else like validate that experience.
100%. It feels very Tumblr also to me.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Jaden Smith was...
Oh God, his Twitter.
Yep. Oh boy.
Do you remember that? And then Will Smith was being interviewed on some late night thing.
Yes, I love this.
And this is really relevant. I can't remember who it was. Harlan, maybe you can find the clip for the video.
I think it was Fallon.
Audio listeners, you're fucked. Sorry. But John thinks maybe it was Fallon, so let's go with that. We're on Fallon, and he's Will Smith's being interviewed, and he's being asked about his son's very candid social media presence.
Right, sure.
And Will Smith defends him by saying, man, I had all those same thoughts when I was younger. I just didn't have a way to put it in front of the entire world.
Yes. And yeah, for somebody in that position too, it's like, yes, the entire world is going to see it, but like if you're
not just your high school class.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I don't know which is more embarrassing, to be honest. I mean, shit, I did that when I was
That's fair.
When
That's fair.
you know, MySpace first came out, like I was a teenager. I wasn't fully formed, but like I knew
Yeah, dude, you're putting that
I knew the touch
fully formed.
I knew the touch grass era. Like I had that experience before it was like, okay, MySpace is now everything to me. But it had the little like wall or whatever the fuck it was called. I can't remember what it was called, where you could just post whatever and your friends would all see it. And so you would post like being a cringy teenage moody boy,
like lyrics
song
from
lyrics
your
from
favorite
like
hardcore
Elliott
band.
Smith.
Yeah. Or that. Yeah, that's probably
and just
more
being
apt.
so mopey, and God, I cringe so hard to the core of me thinking about doing that now as an adult.
Dude, I recently I've been off social media for a while, but Facebook, I don't know, it's so hard to kill. It's like a cockroach. I eventually because all I would do is disable it. My Spotify is actually attached to my Facebook, so I need it for login purposes, because you can't change Spotify. What's the deal with that? Why can't I just change different email address?
Kyle's working out a Jerry Seinfeld
Yeah.
parody bit right now.
Hey, God, have you ever noticed?
What?
Okay. Have you guys ever noticed when you're trying to log into Spotify? You know,
It wants
you
two-step
gotta log into
authentication.
Facebook too.
It says log in with Facebook. What if I don't have a Facebook? Do I have to get a Facebook with my face to use my ears to hear Spotify
Just
music
gonna let him
streamed to
tire
me?
himself out.
Yeah, it's just best to do that.
What were you saying?
Anyways, this last time I was like, you know what? I'm fucking done with this. Spotify be damned. I'm getting rid of this entirely. And so before I fully killed it and deleted it, I was looking through some of the things that I had like made notes of
Sure.
or whatever. And I was just like, good God, if I had any reservation, it's like, would you like to download and save all your photos and
God, no.
posts and
Absolutely
you can
not.
you can
Thank
get
you
it
very
all
much.
compressed into a single zip file when you delete
Yeah.
if you want. And I was like, no, burn it all to hell. I want it gone. I don't want anyone to know about my weird music writing woes.
Here's
and,
a little
like,
pro tip for
late
any
night-
younger people listening to this, if there are any. Know that if you still have a Facebook, you can delete all of it. You can wipe it clean. I'm pretty sure if you delete your Twitter, all your tweets disappear too. So at least there's that. You know, when we were kids and we have photo evidence and did embarrassing shit, it's like, no, that's a real physical object that exists somewhere.
Yeah.
And back in our day, we had to walk both ways up and uphill in the
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah, you had to get
So-
your photos developed off of your digital camera.
Yep, you had to go down to the damn video pharmacy for that.
Video pharmacy.
So this is a tweet from somebody who basically is saying similar things that we have been talking about is, I swear the people who don't understand the concept of basic human emotions like above are the same people who can't seem to differentiate fiction from real life and harasses actors saying they're toxic and horrible people for playing villains or unsympathetic characters. And this is, I mean, this could be this is another branch into fandoms, right? It's people like shipping real life people and fantasizing about them and making fan cams and all kinds of weird shit. Obviously the large majority of these users are, you know, like I said, younger millennials, Gen Z, and they're pointing out what they see as chronically online behavior, which is somewhat amusing, given those are the groups that never really knew a world without the internet. You know, people are sort of talking about this all over TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit.
So it's just like this is like a Gen Z norm now. Like everything going forward everyone's gonna be discovering themselves, new emotions, new scenarios, all publicly online.
Yeah, I mean,
or through articles or through experiences of their friends that would be normally private but are now
right. Well, and the thing
visible.
too, which I didn't really think about is, excuse me, that you know, a lot of this stuff gets talked about and written in places like the New York Times or Slate or whatever, and it's really probably not that big of a deal. Like, it's that those like fear tactics of like some meme will happen and media will pick it up and be like, an epidemic is sweeping the nation. And it's like, one guy did this. What are you talking about? The New Yorker. So I don't know how much this is actually like an epidemic of people doing this. Obviously there are people, but the other thing with the internet is it's really hard to kind of tell when people are lying and like writing shit for a joke, for a bit.
I mean, birds aren't real.
Exactly.
It is like watching people get content creation ingrained in them.
Yes, everyone's a creator.
Early on, because you have to produce some sort of product or make yourself a brand in order to be relevant.
Yeah.
It's like that is also a huge driving force in making people be like, well, I got to be online to stay relevant, or otherwise people are going to forget about me.
Yeah. So,
like,
that being said, there are also, though, people who are clearly not joking when they post chronically online takes. Specifically, I want to talk quickly about the announcement that the new Grand Theft Auto game is going to feature a female protagonist, like a playable character.
Uh-oh. Don't tell gamers that. They'll lose their minds.
Yeah, so a bunch of neckbeards flipped out, and I'm not going to read any of those tweets because they're awful, but a bunch of people...
And not contributing to anything in the world.
But a bunch of people jumped on kind of in defense. One person says, a woman as the main character in GTA 6? Can you believe that women exist in the real world and in video games? Unreal. The industry is too woke these days. So a bunch of people were replying to these bad takes, these misogynists. There's another tweet that I want to read that says, folks calling... this one sums up the hypocrisy in this shit, too. It says, folks calling GTA 6 woke already? Damn, bro, I gotta ask. Do all y'all not like ladies or something? Because fucking hot damn, y'all are weird. Because like it's the same group of people that complain that like, oh, no woman wants me and they're all stuck up or whatever, and then it's like, well, dude, you get to stare at a gamer or a woman's ass while you play them in a video game. How does it not get better than that? What more do you want?
Which is like a super standard like approach to video game design too, which I also take issue with. Maybe I'm too far down this road too. Who knows?
I mean,
before I watched fucking Prey, the new Predator movie, I had to make sure that it was politically safe. Like I was like, okay, there's indigenous people in this. Are they treated? Is it handled correctly? Am I gonna be uncomfortable the whole time?
Honestly, I wish the whole thing was in Comanche. The whole doing it in English, that would have been so much. Like, lean further. Fuck these people even more that would criticize it.
Absolutely.
I remember getting pissed off that Gladiator was in English back in the day. So maybe I'm just wired this way anyways.
There's definitely a certain element of like those, you know, I mean, we talked about it in the Highlander thing forever ago, you know, getting a Scotsman to play
a Russian,
you know. Russian.
That's like, right. He just didn't do anything to. Yeah.
This makes no sense. Why are you doing this? Let somebody else do it.
Why are you doing this?
So obviously, there's some irony here in the idea that someone coming across and commenting on chronically online behavior likely spends a good chunk of time online themselves. We can't not ignore that. Others have defended younger people who are perceived as being out of touch by highlighting their age and arguing that they've spent the last year and a half online during the pandemic, which is fair.
Yeah,
but even during the pandemic, you could still walk outside of your house. Like, I don't know, man. There's
the air wasn't unbreathable.
Just like pretty much everyone else, of course, but perhaps with fewer years of offline experience under their belts. Critiquing people for being overly sensitive or out of touch is likely to inspire pushback. This is a tweet from someone that says, I'm giving it a week before someone starts the chronically online as a slur discourse. It would be the most ironic thing ever. Somebody does kind of explain a little bit more. This is another tweet. It says, to be fair, it It can be ableist in certain situations. If an actual disabled person can't get out and do things, often due to their disabilities, for example, I can't walk around a lot due to muscle issues and chronic anxiety, mocking them for being online is ableist. But also, context matters. And they go on to talk about, what that context is. And of course, like the little things, in how you're saying this or who you're saying it to and what you as the individual know about that person, even if you are somebody who has a disability and you're offended when someone uses the term chronically online, that person doesn't know who the fuck you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even in both situations, on both ends, people are not thinking about the context and the nuance and all the little details in between. And they're just flipping out. So this now, though, is where I want to talk quickly about New Age to alt-right pipeline.
Okay. That sounds loaded as fuck. You're like, let's talk quickly about this fucking pipe bomb.
Briefly.
Yeah.
So, a lot of like New Age type people are also online, and they often talk about their own.
I'm sorry. Sometimes you sound so old when you say New Age type people. New Age type people.
I don't want to offend anybody, so they are people of a type.
I know. I love
that participate in spirituality and healing crystals. But
I just love that millennials are entering this new era of we're now. So we're not Gen Z, and they are the future. They're doing everything. We're the outsiders looking in now, and that's a new feeling. It's just a weird thing to call out. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So the reason I want to talk about this though is because a lot of these like reactionary, chronically online takes, not only are they bad takes or takes that are sort of aggrandizing the ordinary. What comes along with that too is misinformation and like facts over feelings type people who refuse to live in reality. You know what I mean? Like a person doesn't understand what they're feeling is empathy. Why would that person also not believe that the earth is round? Like it's a pretty close Venn diagram, and a lot of people end up falling into it. And the blank to alt-right pipeline has been, again, something that I've been seeing people talk about a lot online. This specifically, though, because of sort of the wild takes that some New Age spiritual people have are very chronically online takes. So I found an article that somebody wrote, and I'll link it in the sources. There's a quote here. It says, under the guise of lurking libertarian ethos, individuals in the health and wellness community are parroting messages of the ultra-conservative. They use jargon similar to QAnon communities like take the red pill, escape the matrix, do your own research, while also selling their like crystals and shit on their Etsy shop. All of this is seeped in the spiritual lexicon at an alarming rate. What is dressed up as enlightenment is an elaborate mess of racist and sexist conspiratorial thinking. And again, back to what we were saying. Somebody who's saying that they're offended by using the term chronically online and being like, oh, that's ableist, are the same people that could maybe fall down this trope of like, well, you shouldn't breastfeed your children because then if you're vegan, you shouldn't breastfeed their children. And then their kid dies, and it's like, what is going on? How did we fall so far into child abuse?
There's a certain amount of like being aware and being sensitive and being empathetic, and then being, overly concerned with someone else's life or someone else's choices.
Or your own agenda and belief system. Like, it can be dangerous.
Yeah.
So, They also share a distrust of the government, Western medical practices, celebrating marching to the non-conforming drum. COVID obviously opened up the floodgates because everybody was online even more.
This is also like a huge staple in cults, just in general. Like the constant search for enlightenment for so many words, and just someone to validate what your feelings are, and also kind of like tell you that there's a meaning for the things that have happened to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like a course or a purpose in something. Like if you preach that you're gonna get someone else's shit together by using some crystals, or
going to some retreat,
or if you buy the right fanny pack, like that kind of thing is very much going to lead someone down the path of just following someone blindly.
Yes.
And that could be online, that could be real life. I mean, like,
yeah, and again, a lot of the information that some of these people, more susceptible people, are getting is from unsubstantiated sources on fucking TikTok, or like people like Steven Crowder that we talked about last week. Like, and
mention his name to me.
Don't. But like a lot of young people, especially young men, are buying into this stuff because of all of the things that men are supposed to not show, like emotion. And so when you see a tough guy or a strong man with his gun talking about law and order, you gravitate towards that because your whole life you've been told that men are supposed to be manly and not cry, etc., etc. And so this affects young men more so, which is even more fucking dangerous because they're the ones more likely to murder folks. So
do violence.
Do violence. Again, these two sort of camps have similar feelings about vaccinations. There's the ones who say it's about bodily autonomy while also participating in freedom convoys on the front lines of abortion rallies. And then the spiritual hippie types that don't want foreign substances polluting their temples and saying things like, I don't discuss politics, which is a similar defensive neo-fascist take as well.
yeah.
So I don't want to offend
anyone.
Yeah, I don't want to defend anybody. I don't have a stance. I'm complicit. So, the argument that insert social justice cause is a hoax is another thing that gets passed around that is basically just toxic positivity and a dismissal of overtly oppressive structures that consistently disregard the most marginalized. So these get spewed in both of these camps. It's just they're wearing different. One's wearing puka shells and one's got an AR-15. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
Do people that are into crystal still wear puka shells? Is that still something that's in?
Is this
that was what you remember from MySpace?
Yes, it is.
About, like in the Chronically Online horseshoe.
Yeah, totally.
The horseshoe being in like a weird theory from some time ago.
Yeah, probably like the 1800s or something.
The further the political idea is the political spectrum is on a horseshoe. The further left you go, the further right you go, you're actually closer together because you're at the very tip of the horseshoe, which is actually closer than being at the top. Which is,
yeah. I will say, like, in theory, like in the real world, it has flaws, but I think online, the Chronically Online version of the horseshoe is fully fucking real. If you put the horseshoe theory and apply it to the internet, 100%. I do the last couple of things that I want to talk about. I wrote something down in these notes just off the top of my head, and it's a way to eschew any guilt one might have and abstain from participating in any kind of critical thinking that manifests as a cult-like mentality steeped in individualism and anti-intellectualism. This ultimately leads to people like the QAnon shaman, mixing pagan and indigenous spiritual totems, esoteric Aryanism, the occult, and a love for segregationist caste systems. Like, the QAnon shaman is Chronically Online.
Who's also vegan.
Yes, he is Chronically Online manifest.
That's the horseshoe touching.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what that is. He's both.
Like,
it's crazy.
If you go to his website, he uses words like awaken, evolve,
Is it still up?
ascend. I don't know. This was from an article.
Okay,
That's what
okay,
it said
okay.
when it was still available.
Yeah.
It's also, I mean, this is kind of separate, but it's interesting that a lot of the proponents of both of these groups are privileged white people. I just want to throw that out there.
I don't think that's. I think that's very predictable.
Yeah.
Yep.
But so there were some people that, and these are some of the examples of why I wanted to talk about this. There's a guy that, funnily enough, the QAnon Anonymous podcast, which is like a comedy podcast that it's not QAnon, they're making fun of.
QAnon and
Yes.
Why didn't they just call it Q Anonymous?
I think that there's a joke in there somewhere.
Gotta be.
But they just did an episode where they talked about this guy called JP Sears, who is a chronically online fella who started in this new agey sort of life coach, as those things, progressively started to get into quote unquote comedy and started to make a shit ton of money making comedy videos on Facebook and YouTube. And if you go and look at like the very first video to the very most recent one, it is a 180-degree swing where he is talking about every right-wing talking point, dog whistle, talking about trans rights and making jokes at the expense of trans people, talking about like gun control. Like, it is the wildest shift in literally a matter of like 3 or 4 years. And
wow,
this is a result of feeling like you have to put your life online and live an extremely online life. There was another recent thing with a content creator called Gabby Hanna, and she went on a 24-hour TikTok spree where she posted like over 100 videos in the span of a day. And I don't know what her medical history is, but other people who are watching this
that's not a good way to preface it.
Yeah. But
Like, what is it? Where's this going?
but a lot of people who were watching these and commenting were like, I'm actually worried for her because I've gone through a like a mental break.
Yeah, like a manic episode.
A manic episode. They were like, I'm bipolar. I've gone through this. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
And Gabby Hanna, I think she's talked about it and she's had some controversy, but she's basically been on YouTube, lived her entire life on YouTube, because she's in her like early 20s at this point, and she's been doing this for like a decade almost.
Oh wow, yeah.
And so it's like, oh, now we're watching someone fully unravel because of the side effects of living this way.
you know what it makes me think of right away? This is like, you hear about child stars going through stuff. Okay.
Before the internet, we had Corey Feldman.
Or Frankie Muniz, like people like
Shia
DiCaprio.
LaBeouf.
Yeah,
That's
all
a whole other
people.
fucking thing that's going on, man. It's wild.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying though. It's like there was a select way in which your life could be on that public.
Yes.
Now
Anybody.
Now it could be anybody.
Yeah.
So it's like it's that same shit where your brain is essentially tainted or overexposed.
Yes.
To
Well,
too much.
it's rewired to function in that setting, but because the internet
survival.
Yes, because the internet affects every part of our lives, from school to work to bills. There's no escaping it for anybody, you know. But that's it. That's all I wanted. I wanted to just talk about this because it's such a far and wide-reaching phenomenon that we're just now kind of putting together. Like, oh fuck, this is all of us.
I mean, I think that, having to be online so much, or like being brought up as a content creator, doing what we're doing right now, is really
help, I need a therapist.
going to break a lot of people, and also just like I don't know, it's stressful. Like anxiety is just like wildly on the rise with a lot of people. I mean, state of the world in general.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is a lot of like fear and anxiety built around being online and having a presence, and like Kyle got off of it and probably helped his mental state, and like, I mean,
Years ago, my man.
I'm on it, and I have anxiety around it. I doom scroll. I do all those things. It's just like, it's tough, and I think like kids that are younger than us are gonna have to deal with a lot more things, and like
Yeah.
being with their
Yep.
age group doing that also.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's chronically online or extremely online. Don't want to offend anybody.
Yup.
So Kyle, do you have any last thoughts, or before we sign off?
Yeah, I do.
It's
I
a
do.
lot.
And
It's an
great.
avalanche.
Yeah.
These aren't great thoughts, but this is one of those episodes where I'm kind of just like, man, what are we doing? Is this show? Are we gonna keep doing this another 100 episodes? Like, what are we talking? We're talking about like the unraveling of society as it pertains to the internet.
How about
We can
this?
talk about glizzies all we want,
Yeah.
but when it comes down to it, this is the real shit. This is really 20,000 leagues under your psyche. Is what it
How about
comes down
this?
to.
We'll end on a gooder note, on a better note, and say that
Gooder.
as much as like this feels scary and overwhelming and is bad, there are things obviously that the internet provides that are good and useful. I mean, even in this, when we were talking about the person that was saying, I'm disabled, it's hard for me to go outside. This is where my community is. That's a good and decent thing that exists. That's great that this can bring people together. You can video conference with your friends across a city or a country. You know what I mean? You can meet people online in online games and forums who are not Nazis. So
Man, you can book restaurant
yeah.
shit if you want.
You don't.
You know what I mean?
If
you don't have to talk to anybody.
If you want to go on vacation and use Airbnb, you can see what's inside the house before you pay for it and go there.
Yeah.
Cool.
And there's also people that are doing very good things with social media.
Yes.
For instance, crowdsourcing people to identify the people who stormed the Capitol.
Yes, exactly.
Sure.
There is a lot of like great things that people are doing with social justice online that is not toxic.
Yes. So
Me and Harwin have a very specific group chat that proves the opposite. But,
yes. We'll have to figure out how to delete all that entire thread.
yeah. We'll figure that we're on a list.
That'll
somewhere
have
at
to
this
go
point.
in
For sure.
each one of our wills for when we die.
But you know what? John? Yeah, it's like in the will. First things first, go to my WhatsApp and delete this fucking thing. Second of all, John, you're absolutely right. There is plenty of merits to this thing we surround ourselves and rely on. It's just
It's so new.
it's so rough. Yeah, but the thing is, it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
This is a predictable outcome, and this is why people want to regulate shit. But this is also why we shouldn't, because this is like.
Well, think about
it's
it.
this whole
Think
thing.
about it in terms of like people that are alive. There are people who are old enough to be like, what is the internet? Still to this day, there are parts of the world that don't even have the internet. Like, that's how young it is. It's not like cars. Like, everybody knows what a car is in the entire world at this point. But there are still people alive today that don't know what the internet is.
Yeah.
Like,
or understand it at the very least. Like, what is this magic?
like this is the first generation that will be born where not having the internet is a thing. So
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And in that sense, it is new because the current living populace, it's still a new experience for them, for some of them. And that still dictates it or categorizes that as a new thing. And I will agree with that. It's very young.
yes.
And which is also equally, that makes it scary.
It's like, oh God, we haven't fixed all the bugs yet.
Yeah, in a few years it'll get added to the DSM. So
All right.
Yeah. Are you a cop in the CSM? I don't know. Or DSM, sorry.
Good luck out there. We appreciate you. Legitimately, sincerely, good luck.
Good luck, guys. And everyone wanted to know which president was the true throat goat. And
okay, I do remember this.
and they are all some sort of eldritch monsters of yore, right?
She was also selling videos of her farting in the jar.
I hate this so much. I hate everything about this.
Yeah.